And we are live.
Welcome back, everybody. Sorry, still eating my breakfast. The realities of State House life. We never have enough time to do anything here. Although we did have time for a fire alarm. It turned out to be smoke in the hydraulic shaft of the elevator. So we apologize. And lucky you online, you didn't have to evacuate the building. So we're back with our attorney, Rick Sable. And we are looking at an amendment to genetic privacy bill, which we were just about to go through. We got rid of or biometric data, and we have instead inserted in biological samples of consumers.
Yeah, so again, Rick Sagel with the Office of Legislative Counsel. It should be clear that the definition of biometric data is still in the bill because it's referenced under publicly available information. However, the bill does not otherwise regulate biometric data. The amendment, I spoke about it. I didn't show it on the screen, so the viewers can see it now. But the subsection D, where it talks about where you can store and transfer genetic data, biological samples, kind of restructuring that language to keep 2A is the same. That hasn't changed. B is also the same, except the lead-in is biological samples, not biometric data. So that's really, it looks much more of a change than it is, but replacing the phrase biometric data with biological samples, I believe, fixes that potential loophole.
I don't see where you're leading in with it. B. B says
C,
only.
B is in dog.
Oh, he is in dog.
Is that language we're looking at? That
Yes. Yeah. It's the track 1.1 of the amendment.
We don't see it.
Right.
I see B as in baby. I see 2A and B, and there's no lead in with biometric samples.
Well, yes, because that's been struck. So
Oh,
okay, let's hold it. Let's stop.
Apologize.
No, that's okay. Let's
Blame the
So,
fire alarm.
I'm looking on page.
blame me.
I'm looking on page 12.
Yeah. Let's go back. Yeah, let's go back to as passed by the House. Okay. Yeah. So at the top of page 12, you have numbers 2 and 3.
Yes.
Number 2 stays the same in the amendments. It's the lead-in is
Oh, I
genetic
see. You
data.
put A and B in that in
Yes.
under 2.
Yes. So it is now genetic data and biological samples of consumers shall right?
Oh, so it should be 3, not 2. 2
No.
remains the same, correct?
Yeah, but I'm combining 2 and 3 into 1
Okay.
because the legal language is the same.
Yes, I see.
It's supposed to, it's supposed to be better that way. So
Yeah,
that was the idea.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So you have the lead in of genetic data and biological samples of consumers shall not be stored. That stays the same.
Got it.
And then 3, you've removed that genetic data or biometric data because the legal language is different.
Right.
Again, shall only be transferred or stored outside. So it looks quite different, but it's not that different. We're just replacing biometric data with biological samples.
Thank you.
Yes.
Simpler, better constructed, counselors happy. I believe Ancestry.com and Keisha, who had raised this issue, are also, hopefully this will answer those concerns. So thank you.
Sure.
I don't know, any questions on that change? I think we're hopefully good with that change.
Sure.
The one thing before we turn to Sister State is I would like to, given Thomas's, all of our concern about time, would people be open to looking at a cure period as discussed? Rick has drafted a fairly narrow cure period. If adding a cure period to the PRA would help anyone on this committee get to yes on this bill. So that is my question. If it's not, if people are willing to look at it, it would be great. I believe Rick has that language ready to go. And I'm happy to look at it if others are happy to look at it. Or willing, maybe not.
Always
happy.
having to look at it. Yeah. Just look at it.
So this is This
Yeah.
is the genetic.
We haven't gotten this day yet. We had a fire alarm.
Right, yeah.
You went off to JFO, you went to the pavilion.
To explain where in the bill the PRA is sort of enabled.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So Senator Chittenden asked where the PRA in as passed by the House, which is again not different than being done here. If you go down to enforcement, which is on page 14 as passed by the House.
Word.
So this is how our consumer protection laws are structured. There's a cross reference to section 2453 of this title. So section 2453, the title is the Consumer Protection Act, Unfair Act in Commerce. That's the language. So that area of our statutes says that if there is an unfair act in commerce, that a consumer has the right to go after their own damages.
In this wording, is it confined to just this genetic testing, or when it says violence, this subchapter is expanding out this PRA to more than just?
The subchapter is just genetic information processing.
That's why I said it was narrow, it was specific to this issue. Which is, thank you.
So then subsection B, let's not forget that we're giving the AG attorney, the authority to, adopt rules, if they are needed. They don't have to. But that's also a Consumer Protection Act standard protocol.
Right.
Is usually the law needs to be interpreted to some extent by the AG, and they have the authority to do those things. So yeah, you don't see those words, and that's why a lot of I always explain as best I can that you are bringing in this authority of the consumer to sue, even if they don't use a lot. Hey, you should still know. Like when you pass the appropriate sign code, that includes some language.
Right.
And as Todd said, we have not yet exempted this CPA PRA authority. This would be first. You can do that. That's totally up to you. It's just not something Vermont has done with CPA, Consumer Protection. Okay. Yeah.
And that's what 2453 is the
Right,
CPA.
right. And other states have. So I mean, Vermont can do that too. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just something that is. So I have language that.
Because your language
read that
doesn't
in.
exempt it, it adds a cure period.
Yeah, so let's get to that. So this is in House Commerce. This is the draft they considered back in February. This would be under the enforcement language. So A and B stay the same, right? So the AG has the authority to adopt rules, et cetera. Adding a subsection C, like this large seal can see it. So a consumer that pursues a civil action pursuant to 2461, that is the private right of action in the Consumer Protection Act. Against a direct-to-consumer genetic testing company, again, that world is very, very small, or service provider, a little bit bigger, the companies that service those direct-to-consumer genetic testing companies, or a violation of three things, and I'll go over those. Subdivision 2421BA1, 2421BB, or 2421BF. Okay. Let me finish.
And both are.
Those are specific not as harmful violations, and I'll explain why it was structured this way. So before one of those three violations occur, before they can file a civil action on one of those allegations, they shall send the company a written notice that includes as many details as possible about, hey, you have done this thing that has harmed, please fix this, right? If they don't cure within 15 days, or if there is a disagreement as to whether the violation has been cured, the consumer shall have that right at that point. And number three, there is no cure period for any other violation, alleged violation of this subchapter.
Those are calendar days, not business days, regardless of holidays.
Right.
So I think 30 makes a lot more sense. I mean, if this happens on December 19th, right before a holiday break, I don't know what, all I heard was 30. If there was a cure period, I don't know why we're trying to do 15 calendar days.
In Wyoming, 60 days.
I'll have to look at them. Yeah.
But again, genetic data, this is direct to consumer. Genetic data may be very time sensitive, may involve.
Lawyers are more expensive, more time sensitive it is. So I'm just trying to be sensitive to.
Right. Well, I agree.
And there is a state with a 60-day period in which they've had no, they said they've had no cases related to their company. I don't know about other genetic data cases, but I don't know what we gain by having a shorter time period. I would just set it at the same time period that another state has.
It sort of time period depends on how much damage you think could occur.
I could go with 15 business days. Do you really want to shrink it by calendar days? Just seems.
I would do 60 days. That's what I would. I think congruency matters in a lot of these. Yes.
Until we have federal action.
Yeah, so I do 60 days.
Okay, let me also, this is important because the cure period is only for 3 violations, okay? So one of the cure periods available is for the privacy terms provided by the company to the consumer. So for some reason, those privacy terms are not provided. They are not as complete as the statute would require. That allows for a cure period. And the thought there is that the consumer is harmed, however, right. These are privacy terms and they should be aware of what those privacy terms are, and if even they don't read it, but they still should have those terms. So that's one area that this cure period would fall into. 2421 BB is the marketing exception. So if there's some type of marketing, you may recall that these companies have regulations on how they can market to their consumers and use the data to target advertising. If one of those violations occurs again, there's a cure period because there's a violation there. However, it's not your genetic data necessarily that has been sold or shared by the third party with a foreign country. 2421 BF is the discrimination. So if a consumer is discriminated against by the company, either by charging more money because you exercised your right to either delete your data or to opt out of something, or whatever you do that you have the right to do in this bill, if you do that, the company, if they decide to discriminate against you by, again, providing a different level of quality of goods, it's all in the statute. That's all curable. Where the company would give 15, 30, 60 days to cure it. What's not curable are the storing your genetic data outside the country without your consent,
Right.
Sharing your data without your consent, not having a contract with the service provider that covers the consumer's privacy. That's not curable because the House Commerce, you guys can disagree, thought was that those things,
Yeah.
once that data is out there, it's gone.
Yeah.
And you can't really cure it. Can a business cure your genetic data that's been sold to a third party? That's the question.
Right.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, tons.
So I'm envisioning that a consumer raises a concern that one of those 3 that this doesn't cover happens.
Yeah.
But isn't there a discovery period? I mean, isn't there a possibility that the consumer, whoever's filing for us, is incorrect in their interpretations, and with the cure period for those scenarios still allow for that same resolution?
So discovery, I think the answer is no. Discovery would occur, during the litigation process, right? And the companies can voluntarily share information. The consumer can share, hey, this is my, I don't know what the consumer would have in discovery. That'd be helpful, but the business could share their privacy policy, right? If that's the issue. I think if you're into the discovery phase at that point, this is a much more serious allegation as opposed to something.
But isn't it possible that the initial action that could be or couldn't be cured might be resolved because the information that the consumers have is incorrect? And
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So
And many
why are we
times-
narrowing it then? If a cure period is just a time period to allow the company to.
Because I think, and again, this is something you all can discuss, is that the House of Commerce's view was that, and they didn't even go with this. this is an option I gave them, that if you have certain things, certain violations allegedly with your genetic data, there's no cure.
It's allegedly. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And so that would come out if they decide
That's
to
what
file a
has to be
suit,
proved or not. Right.
that would come out in the suit and then be up to the court to say, yeah, this is,
I think a cure period. In Wyoming, did they have this narrowing focus of what's curable and what's not?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can look at that for you. Yeah.
It seems like just a cure period for any response before it goes to the next step.
But there are some things I think that once, as Todd said, once it's out of the bag, it's sort of out of the bag. I mean, and once it's sold to a country, beyond America, I mean, you'd have no idea what's going to happen to that. So, I mean, I think keeping
Legend. These are all allegations.
But that is what we were, that is another type of violation. right? So that could be a breach because the data was stolen.
Right.
Or it could be they didn't follow protocols that were set forth. That isn't a PRA against the how they store or transfer genetic data. That's they didn't follow the procedures for a breach or for.
Well, or they were just breached, there's no following a procedure, I mean,
No, there is a procedure. We put that in law.
Bridget, do you have a comment on this?
Yeah, Bridget Morris with Morris Strategies on behalf of Ancestry, and apologies, Richie had to go and catch his flight. I would just say that, as Richie mentioned this morning, and it was in the testimony we submitted, there are instances where genetic data can be cured if that is considered,
We heard,
well, for instance, if it's put into a research data set and then somebody said, well, I didn't intend for that to happen, you can, using engineer genetically, and to pull it out of the data set somehow in some way, which is why he said they need a longer cure period of 60 days, which is what we provided to the committee as well, which is in line with what Wyoming has in order to cure things like that. And again, if it's not fixed during the cure period and there is no resolution, then the consumer can go to court.
Did you get also, I sent you, I think early last week, you reminded me the clinical research folks need language in this bill.
I don't recall that.
And yeah, I like the cure period. I think it makes a lot of sense. I like 60 days, and I don't not necessarily like narrowing it because I just feel like this is the time to possibly resolve things before my biggest concern with the PRA, which is what I think is it could open up the floodgates for new lawsuits. For the cure period is a happy medium for them at least to be able to resolve the issue and work with the next step. But I also don't fully know what a cure period is and what the implications are.
That's what I mean, I think this goes some way distance to protecting companies. These are not Vermont companies. I mean, this is protecting our consumers and giving them an opportunity to act individually and also to have an opportunity for the company to cure it. I think maybe
To your point, Madam Chair, I'd like to probably anchor myself to what I say on the campaign trail. And what I've always said is that I think you made it too hard for businesses to operate in Vermont. And so I do think that just because it's not based in Vermont doesn't mean I want to have laws that make it harder to operate.
right,
in
but
Vermont.
this doesn't make it harder to operate business in Vermont.
Well, does it make it more expensive?
I don't think so, given how few PRS we
It's
have.
subjective, but
But I think I'm willing, I think we're here entertaining a cure period. We can sit on this for a bit and come back to it tomorrow. The clinical piece, I don't recall getting, and I apologize.
clinical piece, this is where I tried to cut myself out of it. This is for data brokers.
Okay,
So
that's,
it's,
okay, let's,
when you said research, it made me think, oh, Elizabeth, is this bill, but they need clinical data to be exempt from the data brokers bill.
okay.
That's a real issue, I think, to most businesses, is the private right of action. The notion that you can get flooded with lawsuits that are frivolous in nature, you waste a lot of time and money. Now, I know it's been testified by the Attorney General's office that we have private rights of action as part of consumer protection laws, and they have not been abused and haven't been, although there have been some frivolous things, but nothing of substance. Is that a fair statement?
Yes,
Yes.
I will say that was also written when most of the consumer protection you needed was physical.
right. But it is shifted, and now a lot of,
That's exactly right. It shifted. So
But it
anyone
doesn't
can be
mean-
sued anywhere in the country based on, frankly, it's more likely that a Vermont company would get sued by somebody out of state if we pass something like that, which is not our charge.
right, but this is focused on genetic data, biological samples and genetic data. So I would love to have us think about this. Rick, if you could email us with that cure period amendment just for us to all look at. and think about.
60 days.
With 60 days,
It is. Okay.
that would be great. And let's think about it with the narrow exemption and without the narrow exemption. And we will think on that, and let's try and return to it if we have some extra time tomorrow. That would be great. Let's turn to sister state keep Rick in the chair and turn the sister state.
And this is the last topic we're doing.
We're doing Boozville at 11.
I'm leaving.
Your
at 11.
amendment, my dear.
Okay, it's really short.
I know it
Okay,
is, but
well, okay, I have to go before 11:30 to meet with the Indian consulate.
well, I'm sorry, we're gonna miss you, but yes, we hope that you would vote on this. So, first, sister state, questions, I think we are, my understanding is that we are, okay with sister state as it has been sent to us. And I think we made no changes to it.
I added a prior right of action.
Oh, did you add private
I
right?
love it.
I gotta get some levity, you know, it's not.
That's your cabaret.
I think all of my bills have appeared. Let's have this one.
Mr. Chamberlain,
Yeah.
November.
674.
Where's the PRA in it?
Yeah, it's hidden. No, it's hidden. There's
I think
no,
that's your cabaret act for
oh my God.
tonight.
Is that tonight?
What?
Is that tonight?
Not coming.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Apple. My last cabaret, very sad. I love cabaret. Unlike my fellow senators who never seem to come.
I tried to come with my daughter and it was an unmitigated disaster. It's
Oh,
way
yes,
too
I
late,
said that.
7:30, you can't,
Oh,
not from us.
okay. So,
And we're working on the House version, is that right?
yeah, that's, and we've had no amendments. We've discussed it and I think if people are okay with it, I would entertain a motion to, but we have somebody who's offered to report it. Randy's offered to report it and
Somebody volunteered me.
I did. I thought, oh, perfect person. Otherwise you get the booze bill or the data broker bill or the
I could do the data broker bill. that'd be easy.
Yeah, well, maybe.
I'll make the motion to approve the bill as presented. Do we have any amendments? No, as received. That's fine.
Thank you. And Mr. Clerk, Senator Clark, would you, oh,
Yes,
Senator Chip, yeah.
Senator Robbins.
Yes.
Senator Reeves, yes. Senator Clarkson.
yes. Thank you. And thank you, Randy, for reporting it. And I think this is the stuff.
I'll send you something. Okay.
Right, and the teacher, just to let everybody know, the teacher who testified last week from Hartford is so excited she's offered to continue working on it and teaching teacher. Gosh, which is kind of nice. Good thing to come out of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There you go. Okay, Rick, thank you very much.
Thank you, yes. So you'll. Tomorrow? Morning?
We'll,
I'll talk to
yeah,
Kara.
we will touch base and figure out when, and you'll send us around that.
Yep,
Thank you.
I'll send it
I
tonight.
appreciate it. Good, good. Okay, so, Tucker with us or is Tucker
Is
waiting?
he online?
He is-
Oh, you mean with us online?
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
still at home.
Yeah. Hugo.
Hugo.
Is he gonna show us the baby?
We want to see a baby.
We want to see a baby, make our day. We want to make our day.
We're just live, like yelling at YouTube.
Hey, if that's the worst thing that happens on YouTube. I mean, that happens. Nothing.
No. Smile.
Okay. I take it Tucker's not yet with us.
Not yet, but I just texted him.
Okay, so then if Tucker's not with us yet.
I can explain it if you want.
Sure. Start with, we have it's on your desk. We
Yeah.
have,
Oh, okay.
we have a proposal of amendment, that, Commissioner will be in to address, but is, I believe, a sanguine, and it is Keisha's amendment. So Keisha, why don't you explain?
I'll do my best because I mean, we all got the language this morning, so it.
draft 1.2.
It's 1.2 and it's on your desk.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I don't
No,
know.
I see it.
Okay. And people are looking at, we don't want to pull it up on the screen.
I don't think we need to, we have it in front of us, and Tucker will pull it up when he comes in and he'll be in a minute.
Yes, I'm posting it right now
Okay.
for public.
Yeah.
Motion meeting. So I think the first instance of amendment is something I may have asked for separately about the increase of distribution.
I have not seen final text of it.
Okay.
I should know that.
Oh, no, this is
You send it.
the commissioner's request, for the distribution records, the data on distribution. Great.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because I think that would be good for all of us. to
This
know
is
how much
important
we're
for all
distributing.
of us as we go through this.
Yeah.
And the commissioner felt that
Right.
as we basically,
But we
What
may
you-
want to put the language up just because we'll be able to have it.
I don't have it.
It's posted.
It's gonna take about 30 seconds like always.
Okay.
And so it's really, yours is the second.
I suppose so. I get
You
it.
send me the Zoom link, I can show.
Sure. Absolutely. So,
Yes, because we're not supposed to use Kiara's, computers.
But I still don't see it on the web.
Yeah, it's always a delay. It's not the trace views.
so this is yet another one of those things where we want to expand the ability of license holders to do multiple things at once in a safe and regulated and limited way. This was brought to me because we have more places that do kind of have a restaurant component, a catering component, and who's the commissioner? And I should say, you want to. That might help.
Yeah.
Explain.
Wendy, why don't you sit here and join us?
I was just explaining my constituent request.
And then we'll let
Yeah.
you discuss the data you want to
Uh,
collect on distribution. And
So I was saying, this is a limited opportunity as we have more kind of multifunctional spaces, places like La Reprise Wines, which is who brought this to me. They took over Denlist. Cork would probably fall in this category. So I'm just trying to think like Salted Bubbles, Wilder Wine.
Yes, there's a few.
There's a few places that have become a great setting with ambiance. They
Yep.
sell wine. They also let you sit and eat cheese and separately use a license to let you consume wine on the premise. To do to then be able to hold an event there where they become the caterer instead, they would need special permission to do this in a limited way. And the commissioner talked to, one of these entities to figure out how we in a very limited sense, try and let them have 5 functions per calendar year on those kinds of premises that do, that otherwise would do wine sale or by the glass sale, but they cannot do that. Those licenses would be put away and they would be using those licensed establishments for catering an event.
So if I may clarify, we don't put licenses away, right?
you don't pass yourself.
Thank you. Sorry, Wendy Knight, chair. No, I'm not the chair. What am I?
You're the
I am the
commissioner.
commissioner of the
both
Department of
begin with
Liquor
C.
and Lottery. So this is, it's actually quite an easy fix for a situation, that has arisen. As, Senator mentioned, it's not just one particular, establishment. It's so you have, a building, right? And one part of it is licensed as a retail store and the other part is licensed as a restaurant. So the way the law is written now, it is you can, if you have a catering license, only, first in class are allowed to have catering license. You cannot have your event at an already licensed establishment. Makes sense, right? Can't have co-located licenses for an event. So if you're an existing caterer and you have a catering license, you're allowed to have an event at fairgrounds or Hulu or whatever, other places that don't have licenses. This particular situation gives those businesses, the small businesses, the opportunity to utilize their entire space for a function. So for example, you want to have a wedding reception, you want to have some sort of event, it just opens the whole space up for those entities that own the entire space.
Got it. Great.
So
We have our legislative council that's joined us via Zoom. Tucker, we welcome you. I understand you're online somewhere. Is,
Congratulations.
are you there, Tucker? We can't hear you.
I am here for the record, Tucker Anderson, Legislative Counsel, and thank you. It's a blessing to have another oversized, rambunctious child in the house.
Great. We are hoping we might, unless he's sound asleep, we're hoping we might catch a glimpse at some point before the end of the morning. A
He's
glimpse
the
of-
opposite of asleep, but he's also with mom right now so that he can be asleep at some point in the future. So unfortunately, no cameos from Mr. Hugo.
We have a lovely shot though for the for that I could share. Okay, so Tucker, that is there anything else you'd want to add about this language for the caterer's license expansion, this opportunity to address smaller entities, businesses being able to use their entire spaces for a function and use so any
No, I think that's great context. The only thing that I might add just from the, to explain some of the drafting is that before this proposal, the prohibition on where an event could take place was located within the definition of a caterer's license. It wasn't actually located in the statutory section that governs the caterer's license. And now that you're granting a carve out to that prohibition, it just makes sense to move it all into the licensing section. So that explains why there's two amendments taking place in this part of the committee's proposal. It strikes that language from the definition and just moves it into the caterer's license statute.
So
And-
you're talking about the top of page 2 under 5, the struck language, and then the addition in section 12.
Yes, that is correct.
Great. And can we return to the floor? Thank you. So any questions about this opportunity that we're creating? Okay, so the first instance of amendment, I believe, is for you to gather the data on the brewery, on brewers being able to self-distribute.
that's correct.
And the commissioner, if she could address the need for this, that would be great.
Yeah, I think it solves the problem of reporting. It's consistent with what we do for some of the other permits that allow, for example, the wineries to deliver. And so it's a mechanism where the brewers would simply need to report to us if they were self-distributing and the quantity, so that we can ensure that they're in compliance with the gallonage that you have in the bill. It's so we used language that, well, Tucker helped clean it up, but it's basically language that exists in other areas.
So it existed, it makes parity with, correct, the wine industry has to.
Correct.
Okay, great. And we're trying to create parity in the first place with wine
Yeah.
industry, so this is consistent with that. Any thoughts or concerns about this? Okay, and we get a report from the commissioner annually anyway on this, and as a new measure, we would hope we would be tracking it, saying how it's going.
We can include that in our report.
Great.
You can visit your local wine bars.
And brew pub,
Yes.
brewery. Given that we have the Brewers Association represented here in two instances behind you, anything that the brewers would want to weigh in on?
One thing, Jessica Oski and Nebraska Group for the Vermont Brewers Association. Thank you. This is a fine amendment. Wondering if the last time we met, you were discussing possibly getting rid of the sunset. And with this reporting mechanism and having this information go to the commissioner and having a, full view about what is being self-distributed, might it make sense to consider
Get rid of
getting
the
the sunset? We're fine either way, but the sunset, if their decision was made, or if the legislature for some reason didn't get around to addressing the sunset and sunset went into place, it could really disrupt these businesses and their operations, they have to figure out how to distribute, how to get the distribution up and running in a short
And,
period.
Sunset is, remind me what the sunset is, Tucker, what is our sunset? On this it's only on the distribution section, right?
2 years.
And it's 2 years. So, I assume that the commissioner will, if we need to add it, I mean, I don't think we need to add it, but if we want to add it, it could be added to the annual report, at least for the first 2 years. I mean, I think we just want to know how it's going and the date of your.
Yeah, and our recommendation was that you remove the sunset
Yeah.
last time,
Okay.
because it gets complicated in terms of applying for a permit. If they can self-distribute, then we don't need to, be answering.
So Tucker, in our third instance of amendment, might we then strike the sunset? Who's controlling this now?
It's me, but I don't need to, Tucker, if you want to start sharing your screen.
Oh, I think you're doing a wonderful job.
It's doing an excellent job. So, I would suggest then that we add a third instance of amendment. Thomas.
I definitely support that. I think 2 years is just too short, because if you're gonna stand up the distribution business, you're gonna buy trucks, you're
Yeah,
gonna
right,
invest in new
absolutely.
infrastructure. So-
Absolutely.
I think that is a wise. So a third instance of amendment would be striking the sunset. And as we know from our miscellaneous booze bill every year, all of these areas could be readdressed at any point. Sure,
It's based on the data, so
patient.
There was one other change that I think we should contemplate. It's, I don't know, since we didn't have a draft, like, I didn't know who was drafting. I'll try to describe it if you wanted to.
Sure, I was sort of hoping we could vote this out today, but because so far I think we're all
Yeah.
probably good with everything so far. Yes, yes.
Well, I want
What-
to raise the concern that I've had, that I've raised.
Yeah, sure.
So, the going from 1 to 10 tasting locations. I had mentioned, I think in most emails that I've been having this discussion with folks with, that I want to create a geographic limit about how many you could have, let's say, per county.
So you want geographic distribution, not necessarily
That's-
limit, but a distribution.
But yes, I would say no more than 2 in a specific county.
may I comment on that?
Yeah, because they're not.
I think that favors people who have existing real estate.
Agreed. The challenge is, of course, they're not, they haven't popped up, but they haven't emerged in any kind of parity of distribution. They've emerged as where things are available. Commissioner, you.
Yeah, so a couple of points to that. Remember that a couple of years ago, we already expanded the number of tasting rooms to 20. So there's already been an expansion of the number of tasting rooms, all the beverage alcohol manufacturers we have. We are now in the bill proposing.
They can have 20 tasting rooms geographically or
No,
20
we don't
permits to do
we don't
tasting.
permit geographically.
But the 20 isn't permanent spaces.
It's tasting rooms and farmers market permits. We already did that 2 years ago. So
Right.
we already allow fourth class
Right.
manufacturers to have 20
Yeah,
fourth class permits, which are tasting rooms or,
but it's an event.
no, it's a tasting room. It's a fourth class license. A manufacturer is allowed a fourth class license.
Uh-huh.
And we expanded that 2 years ago to be 20.
So they
they
can
are-
have 20 tasting rooms around.
Manufacturers right now can already have 20 tasting rooms or farmers market permits.
Spirits manufacturer.
Nope, all of them.
All of them.
Cider, wine, beer, spirits.
So this
So
is
we already-
already per entity.
Correct. Per manufacturer, you're already allowed 20.
They're geographically concentrating.
So it's okay. So we don't permit based on geographic, right? Like
Mhm.
that's a business decision. If a brewer able to have 20 fourth class tasting rooms, if they feel like they want to put them in one county, that would make business sense, but they could do that.
But now they could have 2 full drinks at one of these places. That's one of the changes. So they could have 2 full drinks and they could serve up to 8 other people's products.
Correct. So we're allowing in this bill to allow additional tasting rooms where you can serve other people's products.
Right. So to me, I guess that changes it from like the kind of tasting room, I think the Cabot Annex for the wine place, to you're going to sit somewhere and you can get 2 full drinks and choose from up to 8 different products. That, to me, I would want a geographic limitation on,
Why?
because that's many people go to a bar and have 2 full drinks. Like
But-
that's
but
a lot of,
Whoever is serving is not, is limited to serving people who are
her
overserved.
location.
But if somebody arrives overserved, they aren't gonna serve.
I've never been the more conservative one on these issues, but I think we should take a cautious approach to all 3 changes at once. You can serve 2 full drinks. You can serve up to 8 products. And now you can do it in 10 different places. I would
So
limit,
your concern is that they could go spot to spot, if there's close proximity.
I think
get
we
way
should not
overserved.
create hotspots where you could drink 2 full free drinks.
They're not free.
It's free.
They're not free. It's no different than a bar or a restaurant that serves on premise. It's no different than a
This is
first or
not free.
third class license.
Yeah.
We don't.
Well, they might charge a tasting fee, but they don't have to charge for 2 full drinks.
Oh, no, they're definitely gonna charge for
Oh,
drinks.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
assume so.
So I guess,
Can't afford to.
I guess if you look at the first and third class licenses, right, that's the on-premise
Yeah.
license. We don't geographically restrict those. I mean, so we don't have the ability in our licensing to do that, nor would be, like, there isn't a public safety issue to
So there's
say you're only gonna have so many outlets.
So you don't
in a
limit
certain-
bars or anything else that's.
No, we don't look at
other municipalities limit bars.
well,
Right,
yeah,
but
the other.
geographically,
Well, that's the
CLO
point.
is.
The local control, if you're the 4th class license and the first and third still require like local control. So if a town or a municipality doesn't want to have 10 additional tasting rooms, they have the ability to not approve it.
I guess I would start with a limited number in a particular geography. I still feel that's important. And everyone who's emailed me back has said, yeah, that actually makes sense. I mean, nobody said
But
it
we-
like that.
I think,
I've never said that makes sense.
I think,
Well,
I think the
Yeah.
challenge is,
Yeah.
DLL at the moment does nothing geographically. You
Yeah, we
don't
don't-
limit anything,
We
any
don't.
license geographically.
No, so we have.
I mean, alcohol can be very regulated geographically.
I know, but the point is.
Sure, and the local control commission can do that.
Well, not
They
everyone
want.
has a functioning local control commission.
Every
Every-
license that has local control is signed by a town.
I mean, if they, so they already, so they have to, this can only happen on a premise that's a first or third class license.
No.
So then they might not have one.
No, let me back up. So we're talking about the 4th class license.
Yeah.
4th class license is only available to a manufacturer. You know, manufacturer's license, you're allowed to get a 4th class license.
So give us a
Right.
real example, let's say, I
Okay,
mean,
Bar Hill, Caledonia.
Okay,
They're a
good.
manufacturer. They have a 4th class license as a tasting room. They also have a 1st and 3rd class restaurant. That's a bar restaurant.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is that certain licenses, like your 4th class license and your 1st and 3rd class license, require local control. The department does not look at licenses and say, oh, we already have 50 third and 1st class licenses, and
But we're talking
So-
about fourth class, like,
I understand. And I'm
so
saying
you could
that
have
paying,
fourth class licenses in the same county.
you can have that now. You can have 20 4th class licenses in the same county.
Of the same company.
If I am Wendy Knight Winery in Addison County, and I manufacture delicious wine, and I want to open 24th class licenses, which I'm allowed to do. There is no way I would open 20 of them or 10 of them or 4 of them in Addison County. I would open one in Chittenden, one in Windsor, one in,
So then why would it be so concerning to say a manufacturer can't have more than 2 in the same county?
I'm saying that the department does not look at licenses and restrict them based on geographic location. We don't do that.
Ask a question on that license.
Yeah.
Okay, so I used to serve in city council and I remember approving licenses too. All the local liquor control boards have to approve 4th class licenses too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so there
Yes.
is that local control.
Right.
Where if one wants to put, and maybe to your concern, if there were 4 on Williston Road, the South Burlington City Council would have to say, yeah, that's okay, or hold on, why are we putting 4?
Correct.
Why are we doing
Well, the point I'm making, there is local control over.
I mean,
how
but
many-
those are all town by town.
Every town, but they have to approve. So
Right, but if you had one that had more than 2 in Chittenden County,
Yeah.
they might never talk to each other.
Sure. But you have a concern with that? So if there's one in Williston, South Burlington, and Shelburne, okay.
Yeah,
What's your concern with that?
my concern is that it advantages those who might already have existing real estate to now serve 2 full drinks, similarly to a bar, as a manufacturer. That's something we've had a very cautious approach to over time, letting a manufacturer basically sell their own product like a bar in 10 different places in one county. That's a big leap.
yeah, but we have,
Traveling cocktail party.
I was wondering, so they do have those little beer buses, like the beer bicycles, that they take tours.
Well, and they go to different bars.
They go to different breweries.
Yeah.
But
Or-
now is the question that you would do one just for all your 4th class establishments in one area. And I think that creates a new business model that we should be cautious about.
I guess I would say that we testified throughout the session that there is no public safety issue with what's in the bill. So there is no public safety issue with what's in the bill.
It's funny, but I'm the only one finally seeing a public safety issue with saying you could go from 1 to 10 places.
But I
Is
would
there-
also say that we already allowed, well, we've already expanded it to 20. We haven't seen, a consolidation of tasting rooms in a certain geographic area.
People do bar hop now. Your concern with enabling this for manufacturers is they would circumvent the traditional licensing and restrictions for class 1 and class 2 licenses by having concentration in the geographic area. I'm trying to
Yeah.
understand.
yeah, I'm trying to understand it too, because,
You could have up to 10 places to serve 2 drinks
but you already.
wherever you have real estate.
But you could already do that with bars. I mean, with bars and restaurants now in the same. You know, I don't,
So we're just allowing many more bars that are owned by the same person.
They're not
no, they already could be there.
Okay,
They already exist.
Okay, but they can serve up to 2 full drinks per this bill as well.
But they can do that now. I mean, a bar and a restaurant can do that. now.
Yes, so now we're saying that's 10 new bars owned by one person.
Well, the question is, could a group get together and do a cooperative tour
Yeah,
that involves multiple licensees that are operating these tasting rooms?
They have that.
But-
buses.
but then that gets back into concerns about creating a new business model that could be very
Well, I mean, can't
monopolistic
they
in
do it on
one
their
geography.
own on-
So is your concern alcohol consumption or is your concern monopoly?
It's both. It's that if you don't have a geographic restriction, you can have both. You can have lots of public safety and business problems associated with letting someone have 10 establishments that function more like a bar in the same area.
So, given
Because we're increasing all 3 of those limits at the same time.
we increased some limits 2 years ago, I think.
Correct.
To elaborate, tasting rooms don't go through, what do they avoid that a bar, class 1, class 2 have to go through? So why would this be attractive to somebody to want to do this? They don't have to train the bartenders,
No, they all need certificate. They all need to be educated. So the point of a 4th class license, it's only granted to a manufacturer. Manufacturers want the ability to have people taste their product, buy a bottle, take it home. That's the point of the 4th class. They're not wanting to be a bar or a restaurant. They don't want to have to have a, sit down service. They don't want to have 100 different products. They want to have their product. Maybe they want to have their neighbor's product. Oh, we'll have a Vermont cider. We'll have a Vermont winery. So the idea is an experience. You don't go to a bar or a restaurant to have a brand experience of Vermont products, because a lot of the bars and restaurants don't carry the Vermont products because, one, they're more expensive. And also for the wine, it's a little, it's expensive to open up a $50 bottle of Vermont wine. So the idea, again, we're moving back to Vermont manufacturers. This is meant to help Vermont manufacturers of alcohol beverage.
But there's a key point that we're not discussing here, which is if you could have multiple, you could have as many fourth class licenses in one place as the town allowed. What this would allow is one manufacturer to own 10 of them. And if they have a real estate advantage, then they are the one that gets the 10 tasting rooms, and they get to decide what products are put in those 10 tasting rooms.
Gosh, the one I know of intimately is Deirdre Heakin's operation, and she has one in Addison County and one in Winter
Exactly.
County.
So there should be no
So
problem as we
not-
experiment with this new
So-
operation to not increase all the limits at once. If you're going to go from 1 to 10,
We're not doing them all at once because some of them have been increased 2 years ago. So I would suggest
not-
this is a relatively new idea and one that I think DLL hasn't had a chance to look at. So I actually think at this point in the game, it's something to consider and ask DLL to consider and make a recommendation to us at next year. I
I
don't.
can make a recommendation right now. So we can't do licensing by geographic area. If you're worried about the concentration, don't make it 10. Don't make it 10
Okay.
additional. It started as 20 in the House, and then it got down to House Government Opposite 10. So I don't know if you're not comfortable with 10.
I mean, I'm comfortable
Make
with
it 5.
10 if there's one in each county.
But we don't have the ability to do geographic.
I think what you're hearing.
So that's what I'm
I can't do
saying.
that.
So if you're worried about 10,
Geographic concentration, yeah.
then make it 5.
Instead of county, just throw in something out there. What if, and this would put it on the applicant that you can't be within 10 miles
Mhm.
of another one? And then would you have to enforce that? Would it just be a?
You're making this really complicated for the department's licensing.
We do that
This
a
is
lot.
meant to be, I know, my
This
suggestion.
is meant to be an opportunity, I think.
I'm all about
It's meant to
opportunities.
be
I
an
think that's a
opportunity
track
to
record
help
of
the
that.
Vermont manufacturers grow.
But I also
So
have a
you're-
track record of not doing policy that we cannot picture all of the implications of right now.
So I guess I would suggest that if you're not comfortable with 10, then lower the number of fourth class licenses that can have multiple products.
Then I would say 4, because that gets you to every corner of the state without a concentration, because multiple manufacturers in a hotspot like Burlington or Stowe or wherever, multiple manufacturers could each have up to 4. But we're saying
Yeah, we're
1%.
okay with 20. We're okay with 10. We're certainly okay with 4.
if we can't do it geographically, I would say 4 is a good amount for the state to start with, to not see a concentration in a 25 square mile area. And by the way, the CCB does most of what they do by geography now
Right, but
in a backwards way.
Okay, but appreciate the fact that this is new for DLL and that they
Sure.
have.
I mean, it's not new. Most alcohol.
No, but
countries.
geographic, we have not discussed geographic distribution with
Yeah.
DLL before.
You don't do that.
So. Thomas, what section is that in? So we could look at.
Yep, forgot I was sharing.
Yeah, you're still,
Just very much
Tucker, what
yeah,
section
Tucker,
are
so
the
I'm gonna stop
number
sharing
of
Tucker.
fourth class licenses in?
We can't hear you, Tucker.
Tucker, you are muted.
I only have one finger at a time to click the buttons here to unmute myself, undisguise myself, and scroll to the section. It's in section 2 of the bill as passed by the House.
Get that. Okay, so it's section 2. And what we're looking at is taking 10, which they landed on, down to 4.
And that would be in subdivision C1, which in the as passed by House version is on page 2, line 16.
Page 2 lines. Can you blow it up a tiny bit?
Thomas.
Four?
I would otherwise say one in every county, and I just don't think that's that hard.
But I think what
I
we're
remain
hearing,
okay with that. I don't see that.
The only problem with every county is that one town gets it and the other one really wants it. Maybe it's, built in
Right.
Shelburne.
So
I see this as a tourism and branding opportunity, which I'd like to maximize.
well, it still is a tourism and branding opportunity without one
Or it's,
owning.
geographically, it's a pretty big state. May not have a big population, but I'm okay with that. I don't see that.
Nibble is right now. I mean, I could go any direction.
Brandon,
As long as we move it.
I agree. Brandon,
I'm rereading.
Other implications of 10 versus 4 versus 8. So
Not a public safety.
I don't think there are public safety concerns for the
No.
commissioner.
it is easier to go up than to go down. So if we did 10 and then we had an issue with over concentration, it'd be harder to lower it because they're already there.
We can always expand.
To picking the locations, the
That's
locations
usually
where
what
the
we've done.
permits are applied for. The fourth class licensee asks for a permit at these 4, 5, 10, 20, however many locations, and does so by address. Can the person change that address? In other words, next week come back with,
No.
so it is permanent for whatever
Correct.
period of time.
Correct.
That's done.
There
And
is.
obviously, an administrative nightmare if they
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, we don't allow that. They're annual licenses and they have to have a separate license per location.
Which is by geography. It is regulation by geography.
Now,
Well, I'm
for
saying
those-
we do not limit the number of licenses by geography.
But you
or
know
town.
your geography.
No, you don't determine location either. by
Correct.
geography.
But the local
But
control
the-
boards can.
Yes, the
The
local
municipalities have a role though,
correct,
in terms of approving, is that correct?
absolutely.
And more
Are we-
and more communities are asking us to not have cannabis, tobacco, alcohol, all of these things all concentrated in certain places.
So would it make
Definitely
sense
should
to
be.
tell municipalities that with this particular license, that no municipality can issue no more than 1 per municipality or 2 per municipality?
I don't,
That would solve that problem.
I'm not sure.
I don't see the problem, so
If
I
there's a
think
problem
that,
at all. I agree.
yeah, I think lowering it if you're more comfortable with that.
So I'd entertain cutting it in half and doing it to 5, but I think at this point, we'll go back to the House and we'll see what they have to say, but I think, it's a little arbitrary at the moment, and you don't do it by geography. And it is an opportunity to grow this sector that we all care quite a bit about. So I would,
To grow it in a safe.
yeah,
Great
no,
idea.
I appreciate your concern. I don't, I would, if we just put it in half, I think, given it's slightly arbitrary, I would entertain 5. But I think that,
So let's go with it.
I'm happy to go with 5.
5, 20.
Okay, Tucker, you okay with that? That's the
Of
third.
course, you're the
That's the-
decision makers. I will prepare an additional instance of amendment that lowers from 10 to 5 in subdivision C1.
And gets rid of the sunset.
And yeah, third instance of amendment is getting rid of the sunset, and I guess the fourth instance is taking number of 4th class license opportunities down from 10 to 5.
Your talented and hardworking legislative counsel attorney had already incorporated all of those instances of amendment in draft 1.3, and I will now add an additional one for the 4th class license provisions. The editors will need 10 to 15 minutes to prepare a proofed copy, and you will have something to vote on if that is where you
Great,
want to head.
that would be terrific. And so we could be back at 11:45. You have to go.
I'm a yes with
Okay.
these changes.
Great. So is it 1.4?
I can't.
Would it be draft 1.4?
It will be draft 1.3.
1.3, okay. Okay, great. So we would be collecting your vote on 1.3.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm a
she
yes.
is. Okay, great.
and
So-
Thomas is gonna report it.
I don't need to. I just didn't know if she wanted to. Or anybody wants to. Center weeks, like booze.
Yeah.
I don't
we could
drink.
do
So I'm
both.
not the guy for this.
Okay, we're gonna take a break and wait for this to come back to us. We're gonna look at it at 1.